This is Old Man PHP. I create PHP video tutorials for the old guys who want to learn a new skill and compete with the young crowd. This is video number 37. I'm sorry to say this, but it's going to be another short one. In this video, I'm going to show you how to connect to your database and display all your contents. I mean, we did something using PDO, which we've done before, but I'm just giving you a little more explanation, okay? We will connect to the database, right, using the PDO, which is the PHP Data Object. Now, it is a lightweight, consistent framework for accessing your database, really. It is better than using MySQLi. There's something called MySQL. We're going to use this object, right? But there, why does it do that? This is another one for the exception stuff. And then you got MySQL, and then you have I. See, the actual database is MySQL, but there's an extension called I, and it was used to, allow for you to also access your database. It came about a version, well, after version 4, could be version 4.1 or 2, one of those. And the PHP MySQL-related extension, which I just mentioned, such as that, it's a driver, right? And it's an extension, and the PDO MySQL driver extension are implemented using the PHP extension framework. I know it sounds, Chinese. Don't worry about it. I'm saying it's two different drivers. You could use MySQLi, or you could use PDO under the MySQL database, okay? So first I'm going to assign two constants with a variable, and then a variable that to hold the DNS. I'm going to do a constant, two of them I showed you before, one for username, one for password, and then we'll do another variable, what I was going to say, data source name. So we're going to do that, right? So a data source name is like the data structure that contains information about your database. And it's just a way of you connecting to it too. So you just have to follow the rules, right? The open database connectivity, DBC driver, needs to connect to the database, and this is a way we're going to show you how it's done. We are using the define statement, right? And like I mentioned, to do the two constants, and then of course that variable to do the DSN. So let's stop typing. I know we did this kind of before, but let me show you. Before we do that, I'm going to go first. Let's write it all up. Define. Remember this. And then we had another define. Then I had another one called, I'm going to put a space here, $DSN. It's a good name, right? And then within here, I'm going to put another. Remember, this function takes two arguments. So it takes the one that that's going to become the actual constant, right? I'm going to say, and keep it, that's the convention, keep it in caps. This way people know, oh, that's a constant. DB underscore, let's say username, it's too long. And then we're going to say comma, and then the actual, the username. Now, because I'm using here localhost, I only have a username. I really don't have anything for password. So I'm just going to provide what I have. Root, let's say just for the username, because it's localhost, I really don't worry about it, right? And now then we're going to do the same thing with the password. pass, we'll say pass. It's just as big, right? Same amount. And over here, since I don't have a password, we keep it blank. And then over here, of course, you're gonna need the type of database, right? And of course, the host, which happens to be local host right here. That's the host. So the way to do that is by saying that the host equals to localhost. Host, right? Don't forget that semicolon. That means it's a different thing. And then you could say the database name. We're gonna use log user. That's the one we used the last time. Let me see if we can see it here. Here it goes. This is the database. I'm going to be using this table right here, which happens to be this right here. Let's see. See? I added some sample, first name, last name, sample clients. They're not real. It's temporary. That's why I call it the temporary table. All right. So we're going to do that. Let's get back in there, right? So don't forget that you're going to need that semicolon. Every command needs it. Now remember, this is how it's going to do it. And then if you ever needed to get rid of this guy, like remember the unset like this, you can't do it because it doesn't do constants. Once you define a constant, it's forever until you log out, clean out. You know what I'm saying? Get out of the browser. But if for some reason, let's say that you wrote here that you remember the header command that kind of tells you, and then I told you to do this and then make sure you do this. Remember that? Just in case. Well, this header is the one that's going to send you over. It's going to redirect you, right? And if we did in a way that you did this and then you redirected yourself to here, it's going to come back this way and it's going to say, oh boy, you have 2 constants already done. You can't go over it. You would have to change this. You understand? So there's a way around it. Just make it into the globals. Just say $global like this. With an S. Right? And then you're going to say this because that's what it needs. Because all this information is sitting. Then you're going to want to apply that to the username like that. This is how you're going to do it. So, which I'm going to show you when we do that project, which is the one after this, which is the big one, and I'm going to have to break it down to several videos, but it's a continuation, okay? So, and then over here, of course, you got this, and that's it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a name, right? So I'm going to give it this name, db_user, same thing. And then on this one, we'll say db_pass, like that, in caps. See, it'll do this. That becomes a global. Then this is defined as a constant. This will be 2 different things. So if you're not using, like in other words, if you're not redirecting yourself back to a file that actually defines it again like this, then you don't have to worry about it. But if you're going to go, which I'm going to show you in my next video, that you're going to go back to read that file again, because we want to, this is what we're going to create, right? Where are we? Nope. Yeah, this is what we're going to create. And what hitting these buttons and doing all these things is going to do all the things that you really need to do. Something that if you just study it well, you'll be able to use that to all your projects. I don't mean that you're going to make it all your projects look like this, but I'm saying that you're going to have, and your projects are definitely going to have forms and buttons. And of course, all the little brochure write-ups that you put in a website so people can read. But the actual, the programming stuff, it'll be like this. It can change. You can just have the form, or you can add more to the form, or you can even add this to the form, or maybe not. but I have everything here centralized, so when you're ready to look at it, you're going to see that, wow, this is great. It's broken down in functions. Even though this looks like it's just one thing, but it's still a lot of functions working inside this one script. Anyway, let's just continue. So for now, we're going to do this, right? We're going to say, because we're not going to need it. Okay? All right, so we're going to do this. Let's take this out. Oh, man. Remember how we tried doing, let's try this. Let's try this. Let's see if we can make it work, right? Remember that? You're going to try, because if you're going to do something with the database, you want to try it out first. You want to try, and if there's an error, you want that error caught. So you're going to use the catch function. So right now within this, we're going to create another variable. We're going to call it DB because we're going to turn it into an object from a blueprint called PDO. So we're going to say new. See, look, you're going to create a new object using your PDO driver. So then, of course, you got your parentheses. And now within the video, remember how you created all these guys? Well, you must have been wondering what we're going to do with this. Well, we're going to put it in right in here under the PDO. So it would be like $DSN, right? That's what we call it right here. Then we're going to have this one. You don't need the dollar sign. Dollar sign only tells the interpreter this is a variable. Right now you're telling it that this is a constant and it cannot be changed. And then you're going to put another one here. We're going to change that to pass. Like that. Now you're going to try this, and then it's going to say if there's no problem, then if there is a problem, then the catch would come in, right? Catch. And then you're going to use, it's also, remember, it is also function, right? So within this, you're going to send in two things. You're going to say, oh, I want to use the PDO exception because this has a PDO except, yeah, that's how you spell it. Exception. And then you're going to, that information, I'm not paying attention here. Put it right in there. And then that information, any error that this will catch, I want you to put it in this variable that will have become part of the object, which is part of this right here, part of this guy now. There's a space here. Let's put a little space there, right? So this is how we're going to do it. But then you're going to create another function. You're going to say error, right, like this. Maybe we should call it, yeah, who cares? MSG equals to, now anything that you catch, you're going to stick it right in there. So if you say $E, that this is, I want you to run, remember this? This is what is considered an object. You're going to use this object, and within that object, you're going to use remember, a method. So we're going to say get message, which is part of it. Like that. It'll find it, it puts it in there, then it will put it right in here, and if it did, then all you have to do is say echo this message. You know what I'm saying? You can just say echo this, like this. Or if you want to put this type of stuff in another file, then you can include it. We'll do something like this. Remember the include statement? And you can say semicolon right here. And within there, you're going to give it the name of the file. So you're going to say db underscore error, like that, PHP. So what happens is, instead of doing it over here, we can create another file, put this information, and then maybe format it more better, like a sentence with all the, you know, and then the error. All right, that's how we're going to do it. But I guess for now we can kind of do this. All right, so now I want to exit out of here because I no longer need to be here. So we exit out of this particular block. Let's put a like this. All right, so now I'm going to run a query. Now, what's this part? This is part of that. Let's get out of here. Let's run. Let me save this just in case. Let's run this. We're going to say $query string. That's a good way. Good name. And then we're going to put the query string. Now the query string is part of the language of the SQL, which is the language of the old database. So what we're going to do is we're going to say select. We're going to select everything from, what was the name of it? Temp table, right? Let's see. Temp table. Okay, we're going to say temp table, and that's it. Equals to that. Then we're going to execute it. You know, oh yeah, let's do the execution part first. But before we do that, we have to do the prepare statement, and what should call it? Prepare underscore statement, which I like using these things. Then you're gonna say slash. Remember, this already have become an object, so we're gonna do the. Maybe I should have. This could have been over here. Makes it much easier. But anyway, what we're gonna do is no, not yet. You know what we're gonna do here? We're gonna do this, and we forgot that I need to use this guy. Right now, he's already an object, and I want to use the methods, the functions in that object. So the way to do it is you say $db. Remember this one, like that. The little arrow, and then you say prepare. And this is the way you should do it all the time for security reasons. Very secure. So you go like this, you put it in there, and now it's going to create. Let's put this up there. Now it's going to create this thing here. It's going to create. It's going to assign the results of this into here. So now we're going to execute it. And the way to do it, let me see. See, now I take this part. I don't need the other stuff. I take this part, I go like this, and then I say, oh, I'm going to execute it now. And then I'm going to say execute. Execute like that. So that means it's going to get all this information for you. You know what I'm saying? It's going to get all this information, put it in here, and then in here, you're going to say, okay, now that we have it, let's create another variable called fetch data equals to this name. And because remember, we also need to use another method called fetcher. Fetch all, like that. Write it down like that. You're going to fetch it all. It's funny how this works, right? And then once you execute, does that, puts that in there. Then you're going to fetch that information, and then you're going to close it. We'll do this. I'm going to close the connection. And the way to do that, you say close cursor. Why and they named it that? I don't know. That's what they named it. Okay, now that you have this information, but I'm going to tell you something. Let's say we had something like this, right? and you wanted to say where, let's say this is the, what is the ID here? Temp ID. You would say something like temp ID, right? Then you say equal sign. And then in here, you can put in usually what you want. Let's say 18. See this guy right here? 18. If I wanted to just want 18, this is how I do it. And when they start to fetch it, it's only going to fetch one record. That's it. But if you want the whole thing, you put the asterisk in just the name. Get rid of all this. But we want more security. And what you're going to do, what happens if you wanted like 100 people, 200 people, 1,000 people? What are you going to do? You're going to make a whole bunch of lines like this 100 times with each of them being their own name? You might have to do this and then put in some kind of looping and some count, starting with 1, 2. You know what I mean? You're not going to do that. So what you do is you create a placeholder. So when you go like this, you say colon, that's what it is. And then you say, you don't even have to do that, but I like to do that because it tells people, hey, this is I could call it anything too if I wanted to. But I wanted to tell people, hey, this is going to be a placeholder. Is when you're going to use this, so that way when you see it, so I know that's a placeholder, because that's kind of like the convention anyway. So anyway, let's say you got like this, and then you say, okay, it's going to execute, but then it's going to fail because it's going to look at this as a, well, I don't know what this is. So then we after the prepare statement, you want to bind the value to this. And to do this, you have to use the same, see this right here? The same object, put it over here. It's got to be in this order, okay, man? Otherwise it won't work. So then you say bind. Remember, we saw this before. Value, like this. That's how you do it. And then you got your parentheses, right? Remember, it's camel case. Make sure the V is like that. The V is caps. So then in here, you're going to say, oh, okay, I have two things here. I want to bind this with the actual value. And let's say 18 is sitting in, let's say num like that. And you called it 18 because you only want to see 18. Then over here, you put this information, this right here. You're going to stick it in the first parameter or your argument with how you look at it. Let's see. And then you're going to take this information because you want this value bind with this. So when you execute it, it's going to look at this and say, oh, this is this. This is this. So I guess you want to see just the temp ID equal to 18. And that's how that works, okay? So let's cut this anyway. Not cut it, but just do this because I'm not using this. Okay? I'm not doing just one record. I'm showing you that you can do multiple records. So we're going to go like this, right? We're going to fetch it. We fetched it already. Now, remember, what's so good? It will create. See, when you do this, it created an array. So now what you do is you do this. You say 4. Remember, that's the one you use. This will be your block. Now your for each would be this that you got going over here. Then you're going to say as and just do dollar data. What the hell? Smaller, right? That's what would you do it for. Then you come here and then just echo it. So we're going to say echo. I know it's dumb, but and then you're going to say D, and then you're going to say like this, see? And then while we're at it, why don't we just add some line breaks. I'm gonna do this. All right, so how many do we want? We want first name, last name, and email, and the ID. So we'll just say 4, 1, right? So you'll say 2, 3, 4. You go like this, and you go like this. And then within here, you just want to give it the actual name of the field, which is these guys, right? So you're going to say in single quotes, or double quotes, but in this case I'm using single. So we're going to say temp ID, because that's what we called it, right? Let's see. Yeah, temp ID. And then we're going to call this one temp first name. Okay, should have camel cased that one too. And then over here we're going to do the same for temp last name, right? And then this one will be the email address, temp email. Did I close it? Yes, look, we got these guys, but I really don't care. So we got here, we got here, we got here, and since we're not using this, get that out. Let's save it. Let's put a little space. Get rid of that space. All right, let's see it'll work. I'll probably get an error, like always. So let's see. And what I tell you. 46. What did I kill? This is my query string. Oh, like that. Actually, I want the whole thing. See, it's good that happens. You got 48 undefined fetch. Oh, 48. So this is what I want, right? Start from. This is the query. It's 48, right? Then this bind, but we're not going to use this. This is what this is. Beat about, who? Beat about. Oh, right here. See, I missed out on the. I hope you guys caught that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did. And you're screaming at at your monitor. Hey, you forgot the greater than sign. Sorry, I didn't hear that. All right, let's see. So we got this, and we should be all right. Boom. There you go. But 57, why? Because we called it something else, didn't we? 10 months right here. Temp email. Undefined index temp email. 57. Oh, wait a minute. This. There you go. See? Temp email. That should work. There you go. Maybe we should add a extra space. Let it jump on really good. And then we go, boom, okay, here we go. See how I did all this for you? It's not fantastic stuff. So this is how it's done. If you just also remember this, I mean, you could do a lot, right? There's a whole bunch of stuff you're gonna do. And I have done that using my all kinds of programming. But this is how I get information. See, once I know how to get it, I could do anything with it. Once I get this, I can do anything with it and then continue. This is the way, this way, which I'll show you in another video. It's kind of like a long way. It's good, but it's going to be deprecated, to tell you the truth. I think version 8, you don't have to do that. Do it this way. This is the most. You know why? First of all, PDO will work with any database. Any. So that's why I prefer this and memorize this stuff and always use this. Because as long as I can go in there and take it, and as long as I can update it, as long as I can delete or insert, this is the way to do it. It's just a different, this guy's different, right? You would do something like this for update. Oh, sorry. You will put update the table with this stuff, or delete this table like that. And that's about it, guys. That's all I wanted to show you, because we're going to be doing that in our next project, project 38A. The reason why I called it 38A is because it's going to be big. So thank you very much. I mean, we have reached the end, and if you enjoyed this video and you learned about the PDO, the PHP Data Objects, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. This will help grow my channel, and on the next video I will talk more about the main project that we're going to talk about. It's going to go to 10 parts. Yes, I know, because it's just so much to write. It's going to go for 10 parts. And you know, YouTube has a problem. I haven't seen some longer videos, but I guess those people have to be there a lot longer, you know what I mean? I'm still learning about the YouTube stuff, so bear with me. Anyway, we reached the bottom, and we're here, and hey, good night.